We're here with CNN's Jake Tapper. Our next guest is a New York Times bestselling author and activist who also happens to be Jake's daughter. Her latest book, Use Your Voice, is available now. Please welcome to the show, Alice Paul Tapper, everybody. It is so nice to finally have my favorite Tapper on the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is, now I should note, as impressive it is that you've written a New York Times bestseller, this is your second New York Times bestseller. When you were 11 years old, you wrote a book called Raise Your Hand.
Yes.
And you were 43 when you had your first New York Times bestselling book.
Yeah, he was quite a late bloomer.
He was a late bloomer, but
Yeah.
you know what? It's cool that there's somebody around who can inspire him. This is a true story. Use Your Voice is about how you were misdiagnosed when you went to the hospital for appendicitis. And basically, this book advocates speaking up for yourself when you're receiving medical care. Can you talk a little bit about what happened?
Well, when I was 14, after my first high school football game, I got really sick. And I went to the hospital with extreme stomach pains. And I was there at the hospital for around 32 hours before I got a sonogram or x-ray. And my dad had to make a call to the head of the hospital. And when he made that call, I got an x-ray finally, and they found out I had appendicitis, which is something I have heard about before. My appendix had burst at that point, so I had to get laparoscopic drains, and I was sick for around 4 months, and I missed that much of school. I had almost 5 procedures.
And so you also wrote an op-ed about this before you wrote the book. Is this something that you heard about from both, young adults your age and parents of people your age?
Yes, I've heard from a lot of people. They've reached out to me, asking for help and saying that they've gone through similar misdiagnosis experiences. And I know that I wasn't done with this. I know after I was sick that I wanted to keep advocating for patients, because if this could happen to me, it could happen to anyone. And if my dad hadn't made that call to the head of the hospital, I would have died in that hospital bed.
It's an incredible story. I also should note, speaking up for yourself is thematic to your work. Your first book, Raise Your Hand, was basically encouraging young girls to raise their hand in class. Because was this something that you were noticing that your fellow classmates weren't doing?
Yes, I was shy when I was younger, and I would get nervous to raise my hand in class and to ask questions because I didn't want to get the question wrong. And I brought it up with my Girl Scout troop at the time, and they all agreed that they had similar problems raising their hands. So we created a patch for Girl Scouts to earn, and through that experience, it really helped me open up. And I noticed in my friends, you had to recruit 3 other girls to raise their hands, and even if they weren't Girl Scouts. And it was just such a beautiful thing to be a part of. And I knew I just really wanted to keep being an advocate.
And you were just noticing, like, boys were just raising their hands, being full-on wrong all day long.
Yeah.
That wasn't affecting their confidence
at
all.
They didn't care at all.
They were just like, that's all right, got the hand up.
And I was just sitting there, like, so nervous.
Yeah. No, it's, I also noticed that. Maybe even a little guilty of it. You have provided a great service to your dad as being keyed into a younger generation. This summer was Brat Summer.
Right.
Yeah. Right here. Right. You see, what happened there is there was young people started clapping first, and then older people panic clapped. Now, your dad had to talk about Brat Summer because, basically Charlie XCX tweeted about Kamala retweeted it, and this became...
Yeah, I had no idea. She told me about it.
Okay, good. So you didn't even know that
I don't think it was tweeting. I think it was posting on Instagram.
And
right?
TikTok.
Yeah. Okay.
And
TikTok, they made their the Twitter, the X background on Kamala's headquarters page, like the Brat thing, and everyone was like freaking out online. And me and my friends were just listening to Brat all summer, and so I thought it was so funny that she got like politics involved with the album, and I was like obsessed with it for like the whole summer.
Now, did your heart drop when your dad called to ask what was happening?
Well, once he started getting involved, it started becoming a little bit more distasteful for me, just because I was like, why are you trying to get involved in my business?
When your dad texted me, like, did you hear it was Brat Summer? Do you want to do something?
Yeah,
Brat
I
summer
just,
themed. I was like, no.
Yeah,
man.
I know, and I do want him to go to the Sweat tour with me. That's Troye Sivan and Charlie XCX's tour.
Okay.
So if you guys want to get me tickets to that,
Okay, gotcha.
I'd really appreciate that.
And you would be
He will
happy.
come.
You would bring him.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only concert we'd ever go to together. I mean, I don't really want to go to Weird Al anymore. So.
Did your dad take you to Weird Al?
No, he tried to though, but we hadn't been to a concert together yet. He's really offended.
I took her brother. I took my son to see Weird Al.
Yeah.
But then, yes, she doesn't want to go to Dave Matthews with me.
Gotcha. It would be funny, like, Alice, you want to meet girls your age? Should we go see Weird Al? You could make some new friends at Weird Al. But I do want to know, I believe we have a clip of you discussing, is this after you've talked to Alice?
This is after Alice excitedly sent me this screenshot. And couldn't believe it. She's an activist, but she's not particularly political in terms of electoral politics. And so I told my staff, we really need to talk about this because this is the most interesting thing happening today. So yeah, we talked about it.
And let me just say how natural you all seem talking about Brat Summer.
I was tipped off about this, what I'm about to share with our viewers, by my 16-year-old
Who truly
daughter,
is an
who is an
expert.
actual
Right,
member
right.
of Gen Z. Kamala Harris appears to be leaning into this. The singer Charlie XCX tweeted last night, "Kamala is brat." So is the idea that we're all kind of brat, and Vice President Harris is brat? I don't.
Well,
I don't know if
Two
you're
of-
Brad. I think you
right,
aspire
two
to
of us-
be Brad.
right,
Jake. You
right.
don't just become Brad.
Oh, okay.
You have to try.
you can work at it.
I will aspire to be brat.
That, I think, really speaks to how you understood. All anybody can do is aspire to be Brat.
I didn't say I'd achieved it.
No, you just said you aspire. Do you
He
feel like
can only hope he could get to that level.
Do you feel like he got any closer?
I don't know. That's for Charlie XCX to decide.
Yeah. All right. When you go to the Sweat tour, you can maybe get her get real close, so
Yes.
you can point to your dad and be like, "Is he?" And she'll just go. Congratulations on the book, Alice.
Thank you so much. Thank
for
you for
being
having
here.
me.
Thank you, Jake, for being here. The Tappers, everybody. Alice Wall Tapper, Jake Tapper. Use Your Voice on sale now. We'll be right back with more Late Night.